Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're making a beautiful apple pie cheesecake. This delicious twist on a classic apple pie is one of my favorite cheesecakes, and I'll show you how easy it is to make it. It has a few different components. We have a buttery shortbread crust. We have the creamy cream cheese filling with the cinnamon apples, and we have a crunchy streusel on top. And then to finish it off, we're going to do a quick caramel sauce. But don't worry, I'll walk you through all of the steps. Let's get started. But before we do, don't forget to hit the subscribe button if you're new here and hit the notification bell so you'll know the next time I post a video. And one more thing, I will be leaving the link to the recipe in the description box below so you can click on that link and get the step-by-step instructions. Before I get started, I've preheated my oven to 400 degrees and I've greased the bottom of my 9-inch springform pan and lined it with foil. So now I'll get started on the crust. I'm going to take 1 1/4 cups flour, 1/3 cup sugar, 1 teaspoon cinnamon, and 1/4 teaspoon salt. And I'm going to whisk that together with a fork. I'm going to take a stick of butter that has been cut into pieces and softened, and I'm going to mash the butter into the flour with the fork. My goal is to get small chunks of butter mixed throughout the flour. Now I'm going to take my spatula and put in 1 egg yolk and mix to combine. I'm just going to take my hand and combine this dough. If your dough is too crumbly, use some of the egg white, not all of it. I'll probably add in about half of the reserved egg white. There we go. The reason I only use half of the egg white is because I don't want the dough to be too sticky. If your dough becomes too sticky, you can wrap it in plastic wrap and put it in the fridge for about half an hour. And you can leave it in the fridge up to 2 days if you make your dough in advance. So on my greased pan, I'm going to take my dough and I'm going to place it in the center and press it out all the way. I'm going to press it out all the way on the bottom and onto the sides. If you do catch some sticky patches, you can use your fork to help you flatten this out. Or put some flour on your hands. Take your fork and prick the dough. And place this in the oven for 10 to 15 minutes at 400 degrees until it's lightly golden brown. In the meantime, let's prepare our apples. I'm slicing 2 1/2 peeled Granny Smith apples, taking out the core and cutting it into slices. We cut them into slices lengthways and then turn it and just give it 2 more cuts so you have pieces like this. If you're looking for something to do with the other half of that apple instead of just eating it like a healthy person, stick around till the end of the video and I'll give you a 5-minute recipe for mini apple crisp. To these apples, I'm adding a 1/4 cup brown sugar and 2 teaspoons of cinnamon. And stir. And we're going to set these apples aside so it can sit and develop its flavor. For a streusel topping, we're going to take a 1/2 cup flour and a 1/2 teaspoon cinnamon, 1/2 cup brown sugar, 1/2 cup old-fashioned oats. Mix it with a fork to combine. A 1/2 stick of butter, softened. And once again, we're just going to mix this into the flour. You can also use your fingers to combine this. Once we have this mixed together, we're going to set this aside because this will go on top of our cheesecake before it bakes. So while my crust is cooling, I am going to make my filling. I have 2 pounds of cream cheese. That's 4 8-ounce packages. And I'm going to add to that a 1.5 cups of sugar. And I'm going to mix this until it's incorporated. Now I'm going to add in my 4 eggs and continue beating. Last but not least, I'm going to add 1 teaspoon vanilla, 2 tablespoons apple cider vinegar. And that's it for my filling. Now I'm going to wait until my crust is cooled a bit to finish assembling. Now that my crust has cooled, I'm going to assemble my cheesecake. I'm going to add 1/2 of my filling. And spread it around. I'm going to take my apples that have been sitting and developing flavor, and you see there's syrup in there now because the juices have come out. I'm going to take this pieces at a time and layer it onto the cheesecake. But notice I'm not starting right at the edge. And I'm not dumping all of this in here because I don't want all the juices going out. And I also want it to be controlled layers. Yes, it'll take a little bit of time. Not too much. Now I'm going to add the rest of my filling. Now for my crumble. Give it a stir. I'm going to add this carefully on top. And I'm going to bake this at 500 degrees for 15 minutes. Then I'm going to lower the oven to 200 degrees and I'm going to bake it for 1 hour. But I will not open the door, the oven door, in between that time. Then I'm going to turn the oven off, open the door halfway, and let the cheesecake sit in there for another ½ hour. So we're going to make an easy caramel sauce. So we're going to combine a ½ cup of brown sugar, a stick of butter, and a ¼ cup heavy cream. And I'm turning my stove on to medium heat. And I'm going to stir and let this cook together until it's thickened. It's been about 2 or 3 minutes since it started boiling, and it's thickening up. So I'm going to remove this from the heat. I'm going to take the stove off, and I'll add in a pinch of salt and ½ teaspoon of vanilla and give it a stir. I will let this cool, and I'll put it in the fridge until tomorrow when I assemble my finished cheesecake. It's a brand new day, and I've let my cheesecake chill in the fridge overnight. So I'm taking it out, and I'm going to run an offset spatula around the edge of my pan to make it easier to unmold. If you don't have an offset spatula, you can use a thin knife. And once I've done that, I'm going to carefully remove the side of the pan and put it on my cake platter. I've microwaved my caramel sauce just a little bit so that it's a good spreadable texture. And now I'm going to drizzle it all over my cheesecake. Make any design you want. This is your arts and craft time. So here's the bonus recipe I promised. Take that ½ apple, take out the seeds, and chop it into small chunks. Divide those chunks of apples between 2 mini ramekins. Add a ½ teaspoon cinnamon or more depending on your preference. Add about a tablespoon of brown sugar to each ramekin and mix that up. Now make the topping. In a separate bowl, add 2 tablespoons flour, 2 tablespoons oats, and 2 tablespoons brown sugar and give that a mix. Pour into that 2 tablespoons of melted butter. Now divide the topping between the 2 ramekins and put that in the oven at 400 degrees for about 15 to 20 minutes. Now once that is brown and looks a little bubbly, you'll see it bubbling a little bit. Take that out, let it cool briefly, and then top it with some delicious vanilla ice cream. And there you have it. It only took you 5 minutes to put together, but you have a nice sweet treat. So I hope you guys like these recipes. If you did, drop me a comment below. Let me know if you're going to try any one of these recipes. If you enjoyed this video also, if you could hit the like button, it really helps me out when you do so. If you didn't enjoy the video, hit the like button anyway. That'll be your good deed for the day. There you have it, and then you're done. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.